This starts the worst season in the gun industry. Between now and September is going to be a challenge for all of us. So I wanted to see if the market was affecting our businesses right now or not. So today, what I want to go over is the top 7 things to skyrocket growth during slow season, because we are entering into slow season right now. And I want to talk really why May through September is brutal in the firearm world. And this is your exact playbook to pull ahead while your competition is feeling that. The biggest force your business ever will have, biggest thing that's going to grow your business the fastest or hurt your business the fastest is actually not in your control. It's market and seasonality. It's the one thing that affects your profit that you have 100% no control over. And it is the strongest force against your business. This is a David versus Goliath situation, right? Where you're David and the market is Goliath. You can't outwill the season, right? You can't say, I hope this year is going to be better. You can only out execute the competitors who freeze and move on to other things when the market gets cold. This is the time of year that most firearm businesses struggle to even stay open. It's May through September. You're just going to feel May, June, July, August, and September. You're going to feel just a downturn in business. And here's why. It's your calendar, because people's tax money's gone. They've already spent it. And so oftentimes when somebody spends, that thirst to buy new products and spend new money is quenched with other products and services they bought. So their tax money's gone. That Q1 refund spree is fully spent by May. Hunting starts to get dormant, right? So deer and waterfowl demand doesn't return until the fall. People's wallets get redirected to vacations, weddings, fuel, barbecues. You know, they just literally oftentimes eat the discretionary budget because they're going on vacations and to holidays and things like that. And then nice weather went, right? So lakes and patios and outdoor furniture and things like that greatly play a factor on the money and the disposable income that they have. We are a disposable income industry. People don't need a gun to survive most of the time. So this is a discretionary earning that we live in. So it's not just your business, it's every shooting range. Membership churn is going to spike. I'm just pausing my membership right now that are never going to come back. Your gun stores have fewer transactions and smaller ticket sales. Your instructors see class enrollment fall off a cliff. And online e-commerce, with the same ad spend, we can have half the conversions. Our cost per acquisition goes through the roof because people aren't motivated to take action. And this is mirrored in the National Shooting Sports Foundation graph. They just released the adjusted NICS numbers versus new firearm sales. And this is from February 2021 until February 2026. And you can see the peaks and valleys. Number one, the entire industry is on a decline. We have been low and to the right for 3 quarters in a row. Everything except for suppressed. And these peaks and valleys are January and May, January and May, January and May, with very little change. There's a couple of spikes when there's, an active shooting or, a massacre or things. Unfortunately, people take action after those things. But for the most part, January is good, May is bad. That's the seasonality that we can expect. And because this is the greatest force that impacts whether your classes are filled, whether you make sales, whether or not you get people to sign up for your $997 high ticket program or not, right? This is the biggest factor. The market is the biggest factor. We need to win and double down to defeat the market. We cannot allow the future of our business, whether we're in feast or famine mode, to be based on factors that we don't control. And so this is the time of the year where you need to double down on the 3 things that are going to save your business. More, better, and new, right? We talk about this a lot. More, better, and new. These are not equal. And if you order them wrong, you can destroy your business in slow season and make it way worse for you. More volume of what you already are doing that's working. More calls, more classes, more content, more emails to your list. Better. This is a quality, right? So the things that are already working for you, we want to do better. Better quality on the same actions. Train, record everything, split, test, sharpen. We're going to talk about that. The very last of these elements. More, better, and new. I ordered these in this way intentionally. New is the last choice that you have. New funnels, new offers, new platforms. We get a dopamine hit for it every single time we even talk about it or think about it. It is the most likely thing to wreck your progress during the summer. New is always last, always. I want to talk about the 20% law of change. I had this conversation with Josh this week, and I said to Josh, over my business, I have learned that whenever I implement a new process, right? And I'm not talking about like a new funnel or I'm just talking like we tweak a process. I have had a 20% law of change. This is a pattern that I've lived over and over and over, and it took me a long time to even recognize this pattern. The pattern is this. We change a phone script, or we change an employee, or we change a process or a task, and instantly we see a 20% productivity. We make a change, and while the team is learning that new change and learning how to do that new change well, just the fact that we made a change in the business, we see a 20% drop in productivity. This is what I call the cost of change, is that you will have a 20% drop in productivity. So if your team is really good at something, or you are really good at something, or something is working really, really well, and you make a change, the human element of that is that we need to learn how to do that process differently. And you instantly will see a 20% productivity dip the moment that you make it. This is what the cost of change is a 20% productivity dip. And so examples are that, right? Change your phone script, and your team has to relearn that phone script. If you're not using phone scripts at your business, this is huge. You change your ad creative, and your CPA initially will drop 20%, right? Literally, you upload a new video and your CPA is going to increase until Facebook figures out the right people that are going to respond to that. You change your check-in process, your throughput is going to drop 20%. If you stack 5 changes at once, let's say that you change your phone script and how people close in the classes and how people do these classes, now you're at 100% productivity drip. And this is a big problem. So the reason that it's such a big problem, this is our baseline. Let's say that this is our sales process, and this is how we enroll new students into our classes. I think it's going to be much better if we say something differently on the phone, or I think it's going to be much better if, we have a different way of checking people in, or I think it's going to be much better if we do our advertising a little bit differently. And immediately you get a 20% drop in productivity. And then as people get better at that new process, the idea is that you have a new baseline, right? Your new baseline goes above the old baseline, and you have that productivity increase. But immediately you're going to have a 20% decrease until people figure it out. And so if you have that new change, and then people start to figure it out, and then you add a new change, you've dropped another 20%. And then let's say that people start to figure that one out, and then you add a new change, you drop another 20%. This is a very, very dangerous game for businesses, because a lot of the time we're almost in panic mode sometimes, especially when the seasonality hits and the market changes for our business. We go and we're like, we don't have any classes next week. The New Shooter Accelerator is not working. Let's rename it. I had a client this week that told me on the phone that they renamed the New Shooter Accelerator. It was working. They renamed it because one person emailed and said, I don't know what the New Shooter Accelerator is. So they called it an Intro to Firearms class. What do you think that did for people signing up? Tanked it. Now, if they had stuck with that New Shooter, with the Intro to Firearm name, they may have been able to start to get into a good groove, but that means that they needed to change their ads, their landing page, the email, the calendar. They would see a huge dip. And what they were doing was trying to solve the problem, but the solution wasn't to go to new, where we're going to have the 20% drop immediately. The challenge is that we should have gone to more. It was a volume problem, not a problem with the name of the class. And so I want you guys to really see the danger of making small choices. And when we are in slow season, this is the most dangerous time for you to make these changes, because you think, oh my gosh, I need to do something to fill my classes. And instead of doing more or better, you go straight to new. And that is so dangerous, because new never works, as I say all the time. And these are hard lessons to learn. And so whenever I have a new change, right? And you can ask Jim or Josh this. I am very slow to change. I'm not slow to get excited about a new idea. In business, I am very slow to change. So I sit on every change. In fact, if I made every change the moment I got excited about it, I would never grow my business out of that 20% dip. Because even if you have a good idea, and it's a great idea, and it's the best idea that your business would work, the moment that you implement that new idea, you have a 20% dip in productivity, so that you can, as you learn and develop the skills to make that new idea work. And so for me, I really I spot the new idea, I spot the broken process, and I spot the urgent fix. And that can be brought to the attention from my team, or something that I'm just thinking about as I'm just doing life. And then I walk away. I write it down and I walk away, right? I literally have a list of future Andy problems that I will solve eventually, that are not constraining my business from growth. They're just nice to have. But I walk away from the future Andy idea, and I refuse to implement it the same day, and I refuse the same week. Even if it's a great idea, I am very slow to change. And I see entrepreneurs out there, they say, go take that mountain. And everybody goes to rush that mountain, and the whole team goes and they get on board and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And then before we're even to the top of that mountain, it shifts to a different mountain, right? And that's devastating for a team, and it's devastating for productivity. And so I walk away from that idea. I walk away because the dangerous part about these new ideas is they give us this dopamine hit, that this is gonna work, and this is what's gonna finally change my life, and this is what's really gonna finally change my business. Really, what changes your business is the repetition and getting better at the repetition. That's what changes your business. So then I let the idea cool. I let it simmer, because most ideas only feel brilliant because they're new. Time kills bad decisions. Let the time happen. Then decide when that excitement about the new idea wears off. Because if it still makes sense at that point without the dopamine, and only then, I thought this came out really cool. I would have added the 5th point, which is weigh the 20% productivity drip. Do you feel that that productivity drip is going to be worth it in the end? Put a number on that productivity drip. And then from there, decide what number is this going to bring back to me? And if it's over 20%, if it's 25%, if it's 30%, I probably won't even implement that change. I won't implement that change unless I get a very significant lift on the other side, because the cost of change is too great. The bigger the team, the longer it takes to get out of that 20% dip. I know I say this every week, but this is literally the woman in the red dress. Between now and September, you will have so many opportunities that are the woman in the red dress that are going to get you focused off of what is important on your business. What is important in the slow season is more, better, and new. That's what's important in the slow season. The bigger I get, the more exposure I get, the more views I get, right? We're doing 40 million views on organically on Facebook a month right now. The more views we get, the more emails and text messages I get. I just had one this week that was a very attractive offer, and it was a nonprofit that I would love to get involved with, and I had to say no. It was a nonprofit that really hit home for me personally, something that I really would love to get involved in, but I had to say no. And it's because it's a woman in the red dress. Yes, could I make a difference in this nonprofit? Yes. Could I change the world? Yes. But change the world with you guys right now, I have to stay focused. As you go, all of these different things, woman in the red dress, especially when you're hurting because your classes are harder to fill between now and September, she's going to pop her head up even more, and you've got to be on guard against this. And so the things that I sit on, right? Product offering. My team and I talk every week about different ways that we can help you guys grow your business. And it would be a whole new product offering, how we can solve the problem for new businesses or other types of businesses or different industries, right? I have to sit on those product offerings and not make changes now because of the 20% dip that we're going to face. Pricing changes, course name, hiring and firing decision, new funnel, new ad angle, phone script, sales processes, right? Again, we stack 5 of these at the same time, and you're down 100% until your team gets good enough or you get good enough at the new system. So I have 7 things to do right now, but before I get into these 7 things to do right now, I want to just make a quick note on the more, better, new. This week, Josh had a big win, and that was that he saw a drastic drop in his cost per acquisition on Facebook. Josh, can you just explain kind of what your cost per acquisition is now and the one thing that you did to make that change?
Yeah. My cost per acquisition right now is hovering at about $9 or $10. And we put a new ad out that lowered it and helped, but I just put more classes on the schedule. I just doubled my classes, and I mean, they're filling, and also I'm paying less to get them full.
Yeah,
so that was
100% more. New ad that he did with Jim, while he was in Florida is kicking butt. And then he went and he's like, wow, this is really working. So he added more classes to the calendar, more new shooter accelerator classes, not more different types of classes because these people are coming in. He opened up more of those classes. He added more. It is literally the definition of more, better, new. What can you do for your business right now? You can do more of what's working. If the new shooter accelerator is working for you, that is what you should focus on 100% of your efforts until you have so many of those classes that you physically can't handle more. Because at that point, the constraint of your business is no longer lead generation and student signups. It's now the size of the room, how much staff you have, people problem, HR problem. Your constraint of your business has moved. You will always have a constraint of the business. So focus 100% of your energy until the constraint that you're working on changes. So the top 7 things to do right now, 5 of them are more, 2 of them are betters, and 0 of them are news. So number 1, I want you to dial 100 prospects a day. And I don't want you to keep talking about it. I don't want you to keep saying, oh, I know I need to work my leads, right? Work your leads. Hire somebody to make these phone calls if you can't physically do it. I want you to call 100 prospects or previous customers every single day. If your classes are not filled and you are not on the phone 24/7 trying to get them filled with previous students, what is more important than that? Right? What is more important than that? Outbound calling is the highest leverage thing that you can do in slow season because you're calling previous customers or customers that are affiliated with you. You're not calling some random white page person that doesn't know who you are. You're calling the hottest prospects, which are people that are in your email list. Dial 100 dials a day, non-negotiable. This should be part of everything that we do, every business that we work with. We need 100 phone calls a day. Track the hot leads. This is what we need to do is we need to get these people on the email list into, from dormant customers that already had a good experience with you. And we need to call them with an outstanding, irresistible offer and get them to come in. Track your dial. So as your team's dialing, I want you to track it. Track your conversations. Every call should be recorded, and track your bookings on a scoreboard. And that scoreboard is, hey, we made 100 phone calls today. Of that 100 phone calls, what led to revenue over the phone, like card collected over the phone, and what percentage led to a future meeting? And that's what we're grading on. Phones beat text messages every time. A phone call to a prospect beats text messages every time. Texts beat emails every time. If you can't dial 100 times a day, Hire somebody that can. I want you to put more classes on the schedule. This is where it's going to bring up Josh's point here, is that Josh's cost per acquisition collapsed because he added more class date. And so as people had more availability, they signed up. If you don't have new shooter accelerators that are on your class schedule, and I don't mean schedule them out in the future, because if you spend your ad dollars today, I don't want you to wait 6 months for your ad dollars to come home. Plus, if somebody registers 30 weeks in advance, they're going to forget that they ever registered, even if they put down a deposit. So they're less likely to come. I want you to have classes scheduled out for 6 weeks and only 6 weeks. And every time a class gets filled, you open another one. And so the more classes that you have on the schedule, the better you're going to be. And a lot of us say, well, I can't put a new shooter accelerator on the calendar because I have this here. What's more important? New customers? What is the constraint of the business? Is the constraint of the business new customers? Or is the constraint of the business making more from each individual customer? Because you can't have new customers for some reason. You've solved the new customer problem. And if the constraint of the business is getting people through the door and getting signups, then absolutely focus 100% of your energy killing the one constraint that's hurting your business. So adding more dates means more time slots that people can actually attend. So their different schedules allow you to open up. And that's how his cost per acquisition dropped from like 7 to 11 for your sign up. And so I want to say, don't wait for your classes to fill. Add the dates first. Adding classes is Josh's cheat code this week. Follow suit. Number 3, and this is huge. I want you to commit to 1 video a day between now and September. 1 video a day, at least, organic content. And I don't care if 30 people see it, because if 30 people see it, that's the size of your class. That's the size of the people that need to come in front of you, right? It's 30 people. So great, do a video the next day, do a video the next day, 5 videos a week, that's it. 5 videos a week, and take the top performing video every week and turn it into your ad. If you can do it, I want you to do 1 organic video a day and 1 paid ad a day, bare minimum. And so I want you to repurpose long videos, okay? And this is something that's really important, guys, is that we are creating content every day. We're instructors, we're creating content every day. Every class you give has different questions and different people and different anecdotes and different times. You're creating content. All you need to do is put a camera in front of you. Just start recording. Put a microphone like I'm wearing right now. It's $100 at Best Buy. Just start recording. You're creating the content. You're just not hitting the record button. This content is absolutely the most critical and important thing that you can be doing, because there are tools like Submagic where you can upload the entire video and put it onto Submagic, and it'll clip it into little reels for you, little bite-sized reels for you. You're already creating the content. You just don't have a camera recording it. And so I don't need you to sit down and like film a recording session right now. I just need you to record what you're already doing in your classes and in your range, and repurpose that long video into 5 or 10 short clips. You need to be louder as your competition is going to be quieter, and your competition is going to be trying to change all sorts of things about their business and their website, and they're going to hire all this and that, try to solve the problem. Meanwhile, you are doing the repetitions, and that's what gets us through the slow season. I want you to email like you want to reply. So the goal of 2026 emails has shifted from wanting to get somebody to click to wanting to get somebody to reply. All conversions happen in conversation. And so what I want you to do is I want you to email your list 4 to 7 times a week. And with AI, that's even easier. And optimize for replies. The more people reply, starting that conversation is what is key in the business. Start every email by saying, hey, at the end of this email, I've got a question I'd love to hear your feedback on. And then at the end of every email, add a question that begs a response. Every reply is a hot lead. Call them immediately. Notice I didn't say email them back immediately. I said call them immediately, because all conversion happens in conversation. Number 5, I want you to record and coach from every call. This is one of the things that we talked about with Josh at High Caliber, is that Josh was meeting with his team sporadically. So he's got a team of people behind the counter, and he was meeting with them sporadically. I said, Josh, I meet with my team every morning at 10 a.m. You need to meet with your team every single morning. And if you're not recording every incoming phone call to your business, what are you doing? You have the tool to do it. Record every incoming and outgoing phone call, and then put all of those recordings into AI and have that incoming and outgoing recording analyzed, like, what could we have done better on that call? So here's a for instance. How many phone calls do we get if we're FFLs that say, hey, do you have a Smith & Wesson XYZ in stock? Well, the answer is keyboard. Oh, I don't have it in stock. All right, thanks. So thanks for looking. Right, that's it. That's the answer. End of call, end of moving forward. What I train my team to do is take a look and see what we have in stock. And then if we did have it in stock, give an offer right there on the phone. Take a card right there on the phone to reserve that gun, and don't let them leave that phone call until you've got that gun reserved with their name on it in the safe, waiting for them to come in and fill out a 4473. Even if that means they put a $10 deposit on it, doesn't matter, get a commitment. Or if you don't have the gun in stock, what you do is you say, okay, well, I don't have it in stock, but my distributor has it. It can be here in 3 days. And listen, I know that's kind of a pain because you might be able to go to a store down the street and find it, but I just really want to help you out here. Why don't I do this? I'll give you $25 off that gun, and I'll give you a free box of ammo when you come pick that gun up. I'll put them both in. I'll put it in the safe with the 40. I'll wrap the 4473 and put it around the ammo in the safe for when you come in. It'll be yours. What do you say? And now you've taken a deposit for a gun that's coming in, and you've just closed the deal instead of this person going to the next range. Why are we not doing that? So when somebody calls and says, how much are classes or when's your next class? You don't answer the question and say, okay, let us know if you want to do it, right? I hate that. Let me know, right? I hate that. Don't let me know. Sign up right now. And in fact, if you do, I'll do this for you. Get that registration over the phone. Build a script and teach your people to do this, right? And you do it yourself if you don't have people. This is so important during the slow season, is that we are able to do more and better and never new. Always have a split test running. This is where we talk about better. Always have a split test. So Momentum HQ allows us to have a split test. And what a split test is, guys, when we send traffic to our website. So let's say that we've got our Facebook ad going, and the Facebook ad drives people to a website URL. Okay, this is the website URL. For those of you who don't know what a universal resource link is, this is the letters that you put into the bar, www.xyz.com, right? That's a URL. So when you run your traffic to your URL, your Momentum HQ should send half of your traffic to what we call a control, and then half of your pet traffic to what we call a variation. You should make your control and variation testing different elements of the pages. The very first and most important thing that you would test is your headline. What headline converts well? Is it an emotion-based headline based on nervousness or fear and anxiety? Or is it a money-based headline based on the fact that they get 30% off? Test it, learn what works. And then every Monday, come back and say, well, the control beat it or the variation beat it. Every Monday, go in and say, did the control or variation win? And then right when you're done with that, right? So let's say that your variation did better than control. Okay, your control got a 1% conversion rate and your variation got a 2.6% conversion rate. What we do here is we do something called declare a winner. And what happens now is that our variation moves over to the control spot, and then we add a new variation to the system so that you're constantly testing. Better is absolutely one of the best ways that you can work. And if you're not running split tests, but you're running paid ads, get a split test going immediately. We want to improve your ads weekly, hooks, openings, proof, call to action. And if you have an unbeatable champion, right? So I've got some landing pages out there that have been so tested, and I've had so many split tests that I cannot beat the control. At that point, I need to make a decision that I'm no longer going to split test, because all I'm doing is cannibalizing my control, because I'm always adding a variation that does not perform as well. And so at that point, I stop split testing, but only at that point. And then number 7, I want you to invest in your team. Your team wants to be great. There's nobody that works for you or around you that doesn't want to be the greatest at their job. But most have not been given the repetition and the training to become the greatest. So I want you to do weekly drills, right? So like Josh and I, we meet every single morning at 9:30. What we do is we do role playing. We literally role play every single morning on how these conversations should go. As we role play, my goal is to give one correction on each set of role playing, not 7 things that we need to work on, one thing. And what we role play on is different every single day. So on Monday, it's role playing about a certain topic. And then on Tuesday, it's role playing about a certain topic. And on Wednesday, it's a different one. Thursday, Friday, it's a different one. And so every single day for 30 minutes straight, we role play where he is a salesperson and I am the customer every single day. So if you're not drilling and you're not role playing with your team, or you're not role playing with yourself by doing the reps, how can you improve on these things, right? And so role playing every tough scenario until it's automatic. You need to be doing that with your team. And then I want you to measure. You can't improve unless you're measuring. I want you to measure your close rate. Like if you're not tracking the amount of people through your store right now, or the amount of people calling right now, or the amount of people walking into your, or going to your website, you need to track every single thing. Track your average ticket and your follow-up speed. And if you guys need help with that and you have on-site teams, shameless plug, I'll come out and do a site visit for you for 2 days and I'll train your team myself. Guys, this is the most important part of going into the next season. I want you to focus on the rule of 100. The rule of 100 means you need to either spend 100 minutes creating content and videos every single day, or you need to do 100 phone calls every day, or you need to spend $100 on Facebook every day. This should be your goal immediately. And as always, this is Andy with Warrior Marketing Group. Get armed, get trained, carry daily. Long live the Republic.